Circle of Life. In Jesus' name, chapter 24. It's May 18th, early Saturday morning, the Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. It appeared they were on a beach. Everything was happening so fast it was hard to tell what was going down. All he knew for sure was Taylor was hurt. There was blood on her face, and he fought with several guys at one time trying to protect her. He rolled her over, tried to get her to speak to him. There was so much anguish in his heart. He woke with a giant gasp, sitting straight up. It took Gabe a moment to figure out that he'd been dreaming. He sat there going over what he dreamed in his head, the picture of a bloody Taylor flashing in his brain over and over. He scrubbed his hands over his face and said, "Stop!" out loud. He was breathing hard. He glanced at his clock. It was 3 a.m. He drew a breath. He would never be able to sleep without making sure she was actually okay. So he picked up his phone and called, and she picked up on the fourth ring. "Hello?" she said sleepily. "Hey, Tay. I'm sorry to call you so late." "No worries. It's always good to talk to you, no matter what time it is. Is something wrong?" "Not really. I just had a bad dream. Wanted to hear your voice." "Aw, how sweet." He rolled his eyes. "So, you're okay?" "Of course," she said as she yawned. She snuggled down on her side. "I'm just pretending that you're actually beside me, talking in my ear." "That would be nice," he admitted. "I watched your game tonight, or let's see, it's after midnight, so it would have been last night. It live streamed on Teen Spotter. Yeah, Isla spoke to me after the game. She wants to set up a meeting with me about my future and hers. She's not a bad sort, Gabe. It's because of her your face is known across the country, and also because of her that you have a huge fund to manage." He laughed. "Well, she pretty much said the same thing." "Well, you got to give her credit. Anyway, you were awesome last night, as usual. The ceremony at the end was cool. Yeah, last game sort of thing, and goodbye to the seniors. It wasn't a bad night, though I struck out twice." "Yeah, what's up with that?" Gabe chuckled. "Well, that dude was a good pitcher. But I had 7 total at-bats for both games, 3 solid hits, the 2 strikeouts, and 2 BBs. I scored 4 times, and I rocked it in the field. It was not a bad night." "What's BBs?" "Base on balls, a walk." "Oh, guess I'm still learning." "You're doing fine." "Anyway, you're right. You rocked it. Thanks. I kind of hate for it to end, but I'm also looking forward to what's next." "And have you decided what's next?" He sighed. "No, but Dad and I are coming out there to meet with your grandfather the Monday after graduation to try to help me figure it out." She smiled and yawned. "That is so awesome." I thought I'd get a bigger reaction than that." "Why? I'm not surprised. You said you'd find a way to get out here after graduation, and you did." "Okay." She giggled. "I'm just kidding. Granddad told my dad you were coming out, and he told me, and I already screamed and yelled and jumped up and down and did my happy dance." "What are you doing on the phone this time of night?" young Eric asked. "Hold on, Gabe. My brother is at my door being nosy." She sat up. "It's none of your business. Go away." "Well, you're making a lot of noise." "I am not. You're just using your ninja super ears. Now go away." "Hey, Taylor, let me speak to Eric a minute." She sighed and held out her phone. "Here, Gabe wants to talk to you." He came in and took the phone. "What's up, Gabe? It's like 3 in the morning there." "Yeah, how I know. Listen, walk away from Taylor a minute." Eric nodded at his sister. "Be right back." He walked out into the hall. "Okay, what's up?" "Did you hear about the time I was in the stable and had like a vision thing and felt a lot of pain in my leg right before I was abducted?" "Yeah." "And so what I saw and felt actually happened?" "Yeah." "Well, tonight is the 3rd time I've had a dream about Taylor, and in it she is hurt and bloody." "Not good." "At first I thought it was just a silly dream, but it's so real. And it's 3 times. And I'm not claiming to be psychic or anything, but when you just interrupted our conversation, I felt strongly that I should share this with you. So watch out for her." "Got it. And you know, of course, I have to pass on this information to my father. Yep. Alrighty then. Thanks for the heads up. Here's Taylor. Eric went back to Taylor's room and handed her the phone. Here. Sorry, sis. Bro secrets. She rolled her eyes and took the phone. What was that all about? You heard him. Bro secrets. She was silent. Okay, I will fill you in when I get there. I graduate in 1 week. It won't be long at all. Every minute without you seems like forever, Taylor complained. I feel the same. Hey, Taylor, I think I hear Iris crying. I'll let you go, and sorry I woke you up. It's only midnight. I still have lots of time to sleep. Go see to Iris. Love you, Gabe. Love you, too. He ended the call and headed to Iris's room and opened the door. Hey, sweetie, he said softly. Iris sat up and reached out her hands to him. Gabe. He came to her and scooped her up into his arms and sat on her small youth bed with her. What's wrong, honey? She nestled her head against his chest. I want Mommy. Mommy is sleeping. Can I get you something? No, I want Mommy, she cried. Shh, sweetie, it's okay. I know. What if we go downstairs and have a cookie and some milk? She got quiet. Do you want to do that? She sniffed and nodded her head. He put a finger to his lips. We have to be very quiet so we don't wake up Mommy or Daddy, okay? Okay, she muttered. Gabe looked up to see his father standing outside the bedroom door. He nodded at him to let him know that he had the problem taken care of, and Keegan backed away and went back to his room. Gabe headed downstairs with his baby sister and broke out the milk and cookies. In the morning, he was supposed to shoot with Jake before he left for a training week. And then Gabe wanted to attend Master Apple's class, which he hadn't been to in several weeks because of prom and getting an infection and being abducted and a few other minor reasons. It was time to get back to it, get strong, train hard. He was in good form just a month and a half ago at the mini mart. He needed to get back to that and more. So he really needed to get some sleep because he had no intentions of sleeping late in the morning. New scene. Now, that is really sweet looking, Lily whispered. Daisy nodded. Someone had a heck of a night. They were looking at Gabe, sound asleep on the sofa in the den with Iris splayed across his chest. Lily squeezed off a few pics. Gabe, Lily said softly. He moaned and opened his eyes, his hand moving softly over Iris's back to make sure she wasn't falling off. Sorry to wake you, but Jake is on the phone. She held out his phone. He reached out and took it. Hey, Jake, he said softly. I guess you're not coming? No, I am. I'll be there in 15 minutes. He ended the call, sat up, cradling the sleeping baby in his arms. Give her to me, Daisy ordered. He gently handed her off. Thanks, sis. He ran upstairs to dress, say a quick prayer, and grab his guns. New scene. Man, Gabe, Jake declared. Do you realize how freaking good you are? Gabe shrugged. I think I do. Gabe, you're a freak. You could be a scout sniper. You have what it takes. You're only 17 and you can shoot like that? Jake shook his head. Well, I'll be 18 in 4 weeks. Oh, well, that just negates everything I just said. Gabe smiled. I'm just saying. I thought about it, joining the Marines and going to sniper school. But I just don't know if it's for me. I get that. I just hate to see your talent go to waste. Gabe nodded. That's why I'm going out west to consult with Grandmaster Keno and Jason and Justin Lee and figure out how I cannot let my skills go to waste and still do all the things I want to do. Well, I hope you get some clarity, little bro. Thanks, Gabe said with a smile at the endearment. So, are you coming to your dad's class this morning? Yep. And then I have to get ready to head out to Camp Lejeune. Come on, let's go kick some butt. New scene. It is now May 21st, Tuesday afternoon, Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. Gabe was not happy. Breathing labored, mostly from his temper, he tried to sneak in the front door rather than come in through the kitchen. He didn't want to have to deal with or speak to anyone. He could hear Iris and his mom in the kitchen. He went to the front steps and started up. Gabe, is that you? Lizzie called. He muttered a curse. Yes, I'm going upstairs. No, you're not. You come here, please. I want a word with you. He sighed. Okay, I'll be down in a few. Right now, Gabe. Now. I want you to grab your sheets out of the dryer and take them up and make your bed. You know, the bed I asked you to strip this morning and bring down and put in the washer and it didn't get done. Sorry, Mom. Guess I forgot. I'll be down in a bit. Right now, and Iris wants to see you. I said I'd be down in a minute. You might want to rethink that, Gabe. Keegan's deep voice sounded from the door of his office. Gabe blew out a breath and glanced down at his father, keeping the right side of his face averted. Nope, I just need to go upstairs for a minute. Her request is not unreasonable. He took a few more steps but came to a halt with his father's next words. If you go up those stairs, you're going to have to deal with me, and I don't think you want to do that. He turned. I don't see the big deal, he muttered as he quickly ran back down the steps and toward the kitchen. The big deal is you're being rude and disrespectful to your mother, and I will not have it. Gabe went into the kitchen, noticed his mother at the island measuring something into a bowl, and Violet pulling some muffins from the oven, and he went immediately to Iris, who was having a snack in her high chair. Hey, Iris, he said, and kissed her cheek. He didn't look at his mother, but gave a quick, hey, Mom, hey, Violet, and headed to the laundry area, which was back opposite the large pantry. He reached into the dryer, pulled out the sheets, held them close to his face, and headed out. He heard a gasp. Gabe! He stopped, his heart pounding. Gabe, come here. Oh, my goodness, what happened to your eye? He just stood there, knowing good and well there was no escaping now. His lips pressed tightly together. Come in here and sit down, young man, Lizzie ordered. He tossed the clean laundry onto the kitchen table and sat. He looked up as his father also came into the kitchen. Lizzie tilted Gabe's face up so she could get a better view. What happened to you? Before he could answer, she turned to Violet. Put some ice in a Ziploc bag for me, please. Violet turned to do his ask, and Keegan tilted his son's face up. That's quite a shiner, he said quietly. Gabe didn't answer. What happened? Lizzie asked. It should be pretty obvious, Mom. I got the crap beat out of me. And it's about to happen again if you smart off to your mother one more time. Gabe blew out a frustrated breath. He wasn't afraid. It was an idle threat. Still, for his father to say that, Gabe knew he needed to check himself. I'm sorry. So, are we going to play 20 questions, or are you just going to tell us what happened? Keegan said. I really don't want to talk about it. Well, what you want at the moment is the least of my concerns. Speak. 3 guys jumped me. When he didn't go on, Keegan shook his head. So, I guess we are playing 20 questions. Where? At school. Where at school? Behind the junior hall, beside the student parking lot. How was he able to get in such a clean shot? He sucker punched me. He was just passing me on my right side. He nodded at me and said, Tanner, and I nodded back, and he passed, and then his right hook came out of nowhere. Why? I don't know, Dad. They don't seem to need a reason. I barely know the guy. I seem to be a target. I don't know why. He stomped his foot in frustration as his mom held a bag of ice to his eye. Did they all hit you or just the one? He was silent. Gabe, his father prodded. 3 guys all jumped in. There was a 4th guy, but he was only videoing. Keegan frowned, thinking of 3 guys beating on his son while one recorded. He lifted Gabe's arms, looking for and finding the bruises and scratches he expected to find. He sighed. Okay, so did you get in any punches? No. Why not? May I go to my room now? Gabe, honey, Lizzie said softly, this doesn't make sense. Please talk to us. I'm just so tired, Mom. I don't want to deal with this right now. Well, sometimes we have to deal with things, even if we don't feel like it, Keegan said. Lizzie reached out and stroked his cheek lovingly, and Gabe closed his eyes in the defense of the feelings the loving gesture brought up. Why didn't you fight back? Keegan asked. What were you thinking? Gabe blinked. I was thinking of Mom and my sisters, who were all looking forward to my graduation day. Explain. Anyone caught fighting will not be allowed to walk come graduation. Lizzie looked up at her husband, then back at Gabe. But if you didn't start it, then they don't care. But if you didn't start it, then they don't care who started it, Mom. It's one of those no tolerance rules. Anyone caught fighting will not be allowed to walk. Period. Keegan's jaw tensed. He had a very low opinion of the blanket no tolerance rules that required no thought process. It was a lazy way out of things rather than using one's brain to be just and take responsibility for a real decision. Gabe went on, his resentment evident. So, for you, Mom, I put my hands in front of my face, curled up, and just took it. Lizzie's eyes filled with tears. She rose and left the room. Keegan watched her go and then looked down at Gabe. That was hurtful and very unlike you. Your anger at your mother is misplaced. Go up to your room and think about why you're mad at her, and do not come back down until I have time to come up and speak with you. Gabe sat there looking up at his father, wondering how disappointed he must be in his only son. He glanced over at Violet, who'd been quiet during the whole exchange. She was currently tending to Iris as if she hadn't heard everything that had been said. Move, Keegan ordered. Gabe nodded. Yes, sir. He stood and went up the stairs to his room. He knew his father would be headed in to speak with his mom to comfort her. He wasn't sure why he was feeling such animosity toward his mother. It wasn't fair to her. She was the sweetest, kindest person. She worked hard all the time, tried to make their home a place of love and light. She was simply worried about him, so why did he feel so angry at her? Up in his room, he went into his bathroom and stared in the mirror. His eye was turning blacker by the minute. Oh, how he wanted revenge. And he would get it, because he'd invited the guys to come back for him after graduation. The ceremony would begin by 11 a.m. Saturday morning. It would be over by 1 p.m. Given time for pics after the graduation ceremony, Gabe invited them to meet him at 2 p.m. behind the old elementary school on Main Street. He had no doubt they'd be there, probably with reinforcements. And Gabe would have his own, just in case. The purpose of reinforcements was not to have a gang war, but to simply ensure certain rules of honor were adhered to. He splashed cold water on his face and patted it dry, went to his bed and lay down on the bare mattress. Exhaustion overcame him. He was irritable and grumpy with his mom, and he was sure part of that was from only getting a few hours of sleep every night. Sometimes it felt like he was losing his mind. Things came to him in flashes. Being dragged across an old barn floor, getting kicked over and over, a van driving up as he looked at his flat tire, 4 men wrestling him into that chair, screaming at his father to not come any closer, looking up at that window, wondering when the next bullet was coming through it, a sucker punch connecting solidly with his eye. He felt so hopeless at the moment, but logically, that was ridiculous. He was blessed. He had so many things going for him. So, some guys wanted to kick his butt. So what? Big deal. Really no big deal. He could handle it. Why was he so angry? Why was he mad at his mom? Finally, the thought came to him to pray. He closed his eyes and began talking to Jesus. The delicious peace came over him immediately. The higher perspective became clear. None of this trivial earthly stuff was important, and he needed to make amends with his mother. He could almost hear the words audibly. Honor your father and mother. The people who gave him life and nurtured him and loved him unconditionally. His eyes closed with the clarity he suddenly felt, and he slipped into a deep slumber. It is now May 22nd, Wednesday morning, Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. When Gabe woke, he was completely disoriented. He glanced at the clock on his nightstand, 5:30, but it was dark outside. He picked up his phone. It was 5:30 in the morning. He'd missed dinner and slept through the entire night, the first good night's sleep he'd had in a month. He quickly showered and dressed and headed downstairs in search of food. He glanced at the table and saw the sheets and pillowcases he'd left there, now all neatly folded. He pulled up short when he saw his mom standing at the kitchen sink, staring out the window. Mom? She startled and turned. Gabe. Oh, hi, honey. Hey, Mom, I didn't mean to scare you. That's okay, I was miles away. Mom, before you say anything else, I want to apologize for how I spoke to you yesterday. Oh, sweetie, it's okay. No, it's not okay. Not at all. I'm not even sure why I decided to take my bad mood out on you. I haven't slept in weeks. I was really tired and really mad, and I took it out on you. And I'm sorry. I love you, Mom, with all my heart, and it hurts me to know that I hurt your feelings. I never, ever want to do that again. So please forgive me. She reached up and put her hand on his face. Of course I forgive you, my baby boy. I didn't know that you haven't been sleeping until your dad told me last night. I'm sorry that I've been so focused on this pregnancy that I wasn't even aware that you were struggling. Mom, you don't have to apologize. He took her hand, raised it to his lips, and kissed it. She smiled at him. You're so grown up. When did that happen? He shrugged. Well, I'm not Smorzy, hush. Hush. There's nobody out there. Shh. No, no. No, no. Let's see. You're so grown up. When did that happen? He shrugged. I'm not sure that I am, but I'm trying to be. I promise. I promise I'll do better, but I may not do better with you, S'mores. You better hush. Mommy's reading. Shh. There's nobody out there. Okay. One more time. He took her hand, raised it to his lips, and kissed it, and she smiled at him. You are so grown up. When did that happen? He shrugged. Well, I'm not sure that I am, but I'm trying to be. I promise I'll do better. Well, that's good to hear, Keegan said as he came into the kitchen. Gabe looked down, feeling ashamed of his behavior the past night. Keegan came to him and lifted his chin and looked him over. He shook his head. Well, now, that's not going away anytime soon. I bet you're hungry after missing dinner last night, Lizzie said cheerfully. How about some eggs and pancakes? Gabe smiled. That would be awesome. Come to my office for a few minutes, Gabriel. Lizzie, will you call us when breakfast is ready? Of course. Hush. Gabe followed his father into his office, and he sighed. Here goes. Dad, I'm sorry for how I acted yesterday. I apologize to Mom. I'm not sure why I turned on her. It was wrong. Keegan nodded. It was wrong, but it is understandable. It is? Okay, well, help me understand. Keegan smiled. That's why you're in my office. First, your mother was the one who kept you from getting upstairs when you just wanted to go brood. Second, it was your mom who noticed the eye. Third, it was because your mom is so excited about your graduation that you didn't fight. She was in the way, and she received the fallout of your anger. Almost like collateral damage. He shook his head. I'm sorry. I believe you. I explained some things to her, and she understands. Well, thank you for doing that. You're welcome. Now, don't beat yourself up over this because, like, someone already did that for you. Gabe smiled. Funny, Dad. Unfortunately, you won't think it's so funny. Gabe grimaced, thinking his father was about to hand down one heck of a punishment. Because you said one of the guys was videoing, I had Rose look online to see what damage was done. Gabe's lips pressed tightly together. How bad is it? Well, it could be worse. He doesn't have a lot of followers, but the guy's Instagram page has you labeled as the ultimate coward. Gabe cursed, looked up quickly. Sorry. He thought of how it must look, his arms in front of his face, his body curled up, labeled a coward. It made his stomach turn over. He let the initial hurt of it fade away and finally nodded his head. He accepted it, let it go. He didn't care what the world thought of him. He didn't care what they thought he was some macho hero, and he didn't care that some now thought he was a coward. It was what those he knew thought, what he thought himself, and what God knew. Well, I guess I'll handle it, Gabe said. How will you handle it? I'll live with it. I mean, really, it's the same thing I myself said to you just last week. You didn't call yourself a coward. You asked me if I thought you were a coward. And you said no, so that's good enough for me. Keegan eyed his son, not sure what to make of his calmness. Last night, I prayed, and I saw for just a second things from a higher perspective, and God told me that all of this earthly stuff was trivial. Well, that's commendable that you thought to pray about it, and also that you listened to God's answer. So what's next? Gabe asked. Next? Yes, weren't you going to punish me for being disrespectful? No, Gabe, you're about to be 18. You're a man. A young, inexperienced man, but a man. I think all I can do from here on out is guide you, advise you, and continue to love you. I don't think a punishment would accomplish anything now. I'm sure you realize there are always consequences for our actions, right? Yes, sir. So think before you act, which you actually did and is why you didn't fight. Though the no tolerance rule is stupid, you won't pay any more than a few bruises and a black eye. Breakfast is ready, Lizzie called. New scene. It's still Wednesday morning. Gabe still had some time after breakfast to make a quick call. Jake? Yeah, buddy, everything okay? Gabe sighed. Not exactly. When are you coming home? I'll be home Friday evening. What's up? I need some extra training. You can't ask your dad or my dad? No. Gabe, what are you into? Nothing illegal, I hope. Geez, you're scaring me. Does this have anything to do with the video Lena showed me? Maybe. What video? You getting jumped? She told me the whole thing. Well, how did she know? Violet told her. Gabe, you made a good decision. Yeah, and then I made a bad one. What? I scheduled a rematch after graduation. Okay, so you're going to fight some dude. What's the big deal? Well, it's probably going to end up 3 against 1. Yeah, that's almost understood. So, I mean, I know part of your training has included multiple attackers, and your father is a pro at that, and I know he's worked with you. I know, but I feel the need to brush up. Okay, well, confidence is key, but I won't be home until Friday, probably around 6 p.m., so that doesn't give us much time. We can work on it Friday night or early Saturday morning. Will Lena be upset? About what? About me taking up your time after you've been gone a whole week? Heck, she'll probably want to help train you. Gabe smiled. Cool. I've had some friends come to me saying that this guy is a pretty bad dude. Well, he goes to your school, right? Yeah, but I don't know him. I only know that he's a junior, but he's my age. So why is he a grade behind? Something about him spending a year in a youth correctional center. Jake blew out a breath. Do you know what for? Well, I tried to find out, but the records are closed because he's a minor, but the rumor is it was for assault with a weapon. Good grief. So you intend to meet some juvie after graduation to fight, and there's a possibility things could go south. Possibly. Is there any way I can talk you out of this? Get you to just walk away? I can't, Jake. I'm sure you get that. Especially if you've seen the video. Jake was silent a moment. Do you know the guy's name? Yeah, it's Will Cole, or William Cole. Why? Always good to know your enemies. I got a friend who can get me information. Well, it's not that big of a deal. That might be true, and I hope that's true, but keep in mind the happenings of the past 2 months. Keep in mind that you're a household name across the country, and mostly keep in mind that you're holding a fund worth over $44 million. You're going to have to get it through your head, Gabe, that your life has changed, and you're not just some country boy getting in a schoolyard fight. There could be something behind it. Well, hopefully this is just a guy having a bout of Bruce Lee syndrome, and I'll kick the guy's butt, and that'll be the end of it. Jake smiled at the Bruce Lee reference. Because Bruce Lee was who he was, people were always challenging him and picking fights with him. He nodded. Yeah, Gabe, hopefully that's all it is. So, when and where is the scheduled meetup? Saturday, 2 p.m., behind the old elementary school on Main Street. Okay, got it. Well, I have things to do, bro. See you Friday. Thanks, Jake. No problem. Jake hung up and drew a breath. Gabe hadn't asked him to keep his confidence, but it was understood. He came to him because he didn't want to go to his father, probably because his father would forbid him from fighting. But Gabe's safety was more important here, and Jake wasn't sure how to handle it. and he didn't have a lot of time, so he called his dad. Early morning calls are frightening, John Apple said immediately. Sorry, Dad, didn't mean to scare you, but I'm short on time. Listen, I'm about to break a confidence, but I feel I have no choice because of safety issues. The thing is, if you can keep the confidence, that would be great. But if you can't, I understand. I'm listening. I'm guessing you've heard about Gabe's little rumble yesterday. There's going to be another fight, a challenge issued by Gabe. Gabe called me looking for some brush-up skills against multiples. He called me instead of you or his dad for obvious reasons. I can't talk him into walking away. Again, for obvious reasons. The guy he's going to fight was in juvie for a year for assault with a weapon. Look, I know we can work this whole thing around to fix Gabe's rep and to protect him at the same time, but I have to report in a few minutes, and I'll be busy all day and into the night. I need your help. You got it. Give me the information, and I'll handle it. And just FYI, I may have to break confidence also. Understood. New scene. It's still Wednesday morning, but now we're at Pine Forest High School, Pine Forest, Georgia. At school, a little earlier than usual, Gabe pulled his phone when it vibrated. He smiled. Hey, Taylor. Hey, it's pretty early for you. I couldn't sleep, and I got online, and what do I see? I see a video of you. He sighed. Yeah, it's not pretty. I showed my dad and my brother, and they said that they were sure you had a good reason for not fighting back. You woke them up just to show them that stupid video? No, we're about to train on the beach. Oh, yeah. So, why didn't you defend yourself? He quickly explained the circumstances. Well, my father and brother were right. That is a good reason. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Are you okay? I've been better, but I've also been worse. I got into an argument with my parents last night. That was no fun. What did you argue about? Nothing really. I was just tired and irritable, and I smarted off to my mom. I find that hard to believe. Yeah, well, I'm not perfect. I did apologize to her this morning. To my dad, too. Good. So, let me see your face. He sighed and then switched over to video. Good grief, Gabe. That looks terrible. Yeah, thanks. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to go to homeroom. It's okay. I have to get down to the beach. Oh, hey, Taylor said to one of Gabe's friends, who came up behind him and waved at the screen. You're Liam, right? The catcher? He laughed. Hey, Taylor. Wow, I can't believe you remember my name. Of course I do. I'm the team's biggest fan. Geez, Tanner, she's a keeper for real. So, Taylor, Liam began, what do you think of the champ? He's not looking so good. Right? But he'll look better Saturday at 2. I'll live stream if you want to watch. That's enough, Gabe barked. What is he talking about? I'll tell you later. I gotta go, Tay. Love you. She smiled. Love you too. Gabe turned and glared at Liam. What? Liam laughed. Gabe only rolled his eyes and went into his homeroom. The teacher immediately called him to the front. Principal wants to see you. He let out a heavy sigh and headed out to the principal's office. Can this day get any better? Mr. Tanner, I see you're supposed to graduate summa cum laude with the 4th highest GPA in the school. I see that you have lettered in both football and baseball 4 times each and have received numerous other smaller awards. Yes, sir. Do you want to tell me about this fight you took part in yesterday afternoon on school property? Gabe looked up at Mr. Briscoe, trying to decide how he was going to handle this. He wanted to tell him to go, well, something he shouldn't say, or think for that matter. He would have to speak to the man respectfully because that's how the Tanner family operates. Besides, Gabe needed to be beyond reproach. He drew a deep breath. Well, sir, I actually did not participate in a fight. Well, Tanner, besides the evidence on your face, I've been given a video of the actual fight, and let me remind you that adding lying to the charge will not bode well for you. Mr. Briscoe, you know me and you know my family. I don't lie. We don't lie. Well, the evidence states otherwise. Gabe's eyes narrowed at the slight to his family name, and Gabe began to wonder if the videographer had somehow doctored the video, and if so, this was going to be a complete disaster. You know, Mr. Tanner, there is a no-tolerance rule about fighting this last week of school. Anyone caught fighting will not be able to walk at graduation. Yes, sir, I know that. Mr. Briscoe, did you actually watch the video? I saw enough of it to know it was you and Mr. Cole. Well, I would like to respectfully request that you watch the video in its entirety. If you do, you will see something completely different than what you were told. And what do you think I'll see? You'll see me walking along on my way to the parking lot, and then you'll see Will Cole sucker punch me in the eye, and you'll see me fall down, and then you'll see the other two guys, whose names I don't know, start kicking me and punching me along with Will, while a fourth guy videoed the whole thing. You will see me covering my face and curl up my body to try to protect myself. You will see that I did not fight back at all. I simply laid there and let them hit me. I did that because I knew of the no tolerance rule, and I knew my mother would be very disappointed if she couldn't see me graduate, and so, for her, I just laid there. I was very careful to not fight back. So I ask, sir, if you will please watch the video. I'll take that under advisement, Mr. Tanner. You are dismissed. No, sir. No. Sir, I would like to respectfully ask you to watch the video right here, right now, so that I can see that you watched it and so that I can be sure that the video has not been altered in any way. Please understand, I mean no disrespect, but a very important part of my life is at stake here, and in the name of justice, please grant my request. Mr. Briscoe pursed his lips. Gabe smiled kindly at the man, thinking that might help. What he really wanted to say was that this was a huge miscarriage of justice against me and my family, and there will be hell to pay. He wanted to say that the Tanners are not just some poor, scared people who cower because some guy who thinks he has authority is trying to pretend he's powerful. But he kept those thoughts to himself. Mr. Briscoe pulled out his phone, turned on the TV in his office, and cast the video up on the screen. Gabe held his breath, hoping he would see the true video, and when he did, he relaxed. Thank you, Jesus, he thought. They watched together as three guys beat on Gabe, and then it was over. Gabe looked back at the principal. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Tanner? Yes. As you can see, I wasn't fighting. I was careful not to fight. I can't control what other people do and shouldn't be punished for them. I didn't know these guys at all. I only found out the name of the guy who punched me in the eye after the fact. I've done nothing to these guys to have them attack me. It seems obvious to me that someone is out to get me. And why would they want to do that? I don't know. Maybe for the same reason those pitchers threw at me at the baseball games. I've had a lot of attention lately, and that brings challengers out of the woodwork. Bottom line, Mr. Briscoe, I did not fight. If we need to get my father in here, I can give him a call, but I believe he's busy putting together security for the graduation since he was asked to do that by the school board. Would you like me to call him? I don't think that would be necessary. Now that we've seen the video, I think I can say that you are welcome to walk at graduation. Gabe nodded. Thank you, sir. Mr. Briscoe actually smiled. I didn't see that you were on the debate team or the mock trial team, but you could have done well. Well, I guess there's only so much time in the day, Gabe replied. Am I free to go back to class? Yes. Sir, I would like to say one more thing. Go ahead. That no tolerance rule, it sucks. Because of it, I had to lay there and let some guys beat on me. Think about it. I mean, anyone could use it to get back at someone. If I'd been a much smaller person and didn't know how to protect myself, I could have been seriously injured. As it is, we don't know yet how serious this eye injury is. You know, stuff like this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I could sue the school for setting up the opportunity for these guys to get at me. You might want to rethink things a bit. Just a thought. He smiled and offered his hand. Thank you, sir. It's been a great 4 years. They shook hands, and Gabe walked toward his first period class. He thought about what he just said and hoped it wouldn't come back to bite him. He figured he needed to speak with his father and tell him what he'd said to Mr. Briscoe. He only had to stay today until third period. He'd go straight home and have that talk, then head down to the basement and work out. And it is still Wednesday in the Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. Gabe pressed out the last one and eased the barbell back into its cradle. He sat up, picked up his towel, and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He nodded his head slightly to the beat of the music coming through his earbuds. He was feeling pretty good, stronger, his old self. His talk with his father had gone well. His dad had been pretty angry that Principal Briscoe hadn't even taken time to watch the video and was suspicious of his motives. His father also had no problem with Gabe stating the obvious, that Keegan had been asked by the school board to offer security for graduation. They'd approached him and asked him about it because they were worried that what effect Gabe's newfound popularity would have. Keegan offered to arrange security free of charge. The only problem his father had with what Gabe said was using the word sucks. That was only a minor infraction. Gabe's mind went to Taylor, as it often did when he wasn't occupied with the business at hand. Her beautiful smile, full of mischief and amusement, her gorgeous mouth, that luscious body, all that dark hair tumbling around her shoulders at the prom. He sighed. He missed her. He was truly looking forward to seeing her on Monday. She had a sharp mind, albeit innocent, and he loved talking with her and sharing his innermost thoughts with her. He hoped they would find some time alone. He was snapped out of his daydream by an incoming FaceTime. He accepted the call. Well, hello there, Gabriel Tanner. Hey, Isla August. It's so nice. No, not. It's so nice to see you and hear your voice again. I hope I'm not disturbing you. No, I'm just working out. Gabe, listen, I'm calling just because I saw that video of you online. He sighed. Yeah, I thought that might be why you called. You know, Gabe, whenever I speak with you, I get the feeling that you really don't want to talk to me. He thought about that a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just a little camera shy, so when I speak to you, I guess I revert to that feeling. The first time I spoke with you was right before the mini-mart, and I was in fighting mode and I didn't want to talk, but Grandmaster Keno thought it was a good idea to get one interview under my belt. So I was maybe a little impatient then, and I go back to that initial feeling. I understand the camera shy thing, but Gabe, I am not your enemy. I am more like your biggest fan. You have changed my life in so many ways, young man. If I was 10 years younger, I would be so in love with you. Well, I don't really know what to say to that. She laughed. Of course you don't. Your honesty is so refreshing. But listen, Gabe, I have a few things I want to say to you. You've changed my life. First, my career has taken off. When I came up with the idea of teenspotter.com, I was about your age, maybe a little older. I knew I loved to talk to people. I knew I loved to recognize young people who were above the ordinary. I had no idea what I was doing, but slowly my videos were getting more and more popular. And I always believed in being kind to people and honest, so people began to trust me and began inviting me to things involving extraordinary teens. And that's why Brianna Adams got in touch with me about the mini-mart. And once I met you, Gabe, I was truly blown away. But my career is not the main thing that has changed in my life. What really changed me was when you were kidnapped and the whole country prayed for you. I already told you when I prayed for you, God let me know he was real. He filled me with his spirit, and I haven't been the same since. And I am so grateful for that. I even got baptized last week. Oh, wow, that is awesome, Isla. Really, I'm so happy for you. But there's more. It seems God has blessed me since you came into my life. Suddenly, I have huge sponsors like the body wash people and sporting goods people, and I've been hired by a major network to air my Teen Spotter videos. They even sent me their own cameraman and lighting specialist and even makeup people, which is a riot, she said, laughing. Well, that's great. I am really happy for you, as long as you don't let it change you. What do you mean? Well, I mean, I'm just a kid, but I know we can get all caught up in our careers and like prosperity stuff and end up selling our souls. So just don't let them get you to do anything dishonest or, not in keeping with what you believe. She was silent a moment. You okay? She sniffed. I'm sorry, Gabe, but you just made me cry. Are you sure you're only 17? He chuckled. Yeah, and I make plenty of stupid mistakes. But I've been a Christian all my life. And so what I just said was something I've been taught since I was little. You're what they call a baby Christian. You'll learn all this stuff, and you'll see that me saying that is no big deal. There are a whole lot more Christian teenagers who are much better spoken than I am. Oh, my goodness. You're right. I mean, not that they're better than you, but that there are a lot of Christian teens who could say some beautiful things like you just said. I'm going to search for some and get them to let me video their message. I'd love it. My heart is just so overflowing right now. But hey, I'm getting way off what I was trying to tell you. Let me get my mind back to what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So I told you all that so that you know that I'm coming from a good place. I am not trying to exploit you. I want to help you. Help me what? I want to come and video your fight on Saturday. He sighed. How do you know about that? Let me guess. Peyton? Not this time. He told me he wasn't going to talk to me about you anymore. You know, he truly loves you. Yeah, we've been friends since kindergarten. He's a good guy. If you want to focus on a really good guy, you should look at him. His father left them. His mom works hard to support him and his younger brother, and he's been working since he was old enough to push a lawnmower or rake leaves to help his mom any way he can. And he still does good in school and watches out for me, and he's a great ball player. He got a full scholarship to play baseball at UGA, and I hope it leads to big things for him. Oh, that's interesting. I'll look into doing a story on him. Tell me, what have you done to help him? Well, whatever I or my family have done is between us and God, and we don't want any credit or accolades for any act of charity. Please, think how embarrassing that would be for him. Well, then you have helped him. No comment. Okay, I get the message, but we've gotten off topic again. I want to help you. I want to video your fight on Saturday afternoon. How does that help me? Well, in several ways. First, my presence there with the cameras will keep it honest. No weapons, no sneak attacks. And then after the fight, I'll interview you on camera and you can tell your story. You can explain why you didn't fight the first time. Gabe shook his head. I don't know about this. I mean, this is not supposed to be a public fight. The guy may not show up if it's public. Besides, I'm pretty sure fighting on public property is illegal. Oh, it is. But I can take care of that. And how can you do that? I can get it sanctioned by the mayor as a martial arts demonstration. You have the power to do that? Well, not alone, but I have some powerful allies. I know I can get it done. Well, still, even if you can, the guy probably won't show up if it's a big public spectacle. Well, he will if he doesn't know. He shows up, we're there with cameras. He can either refuse to fight, which now makes him look like a coward, or he can concede. And if he still won't fight? Are you telling me you don't know how to goad someone into a fight? He sighed. Well, of course I do. It's been tried on me enough times. So if this guy says, hey, I'm not fighting you in front of all these people, what would you say? Well, I'd probably ask him why. And then I'd ask him what he's so afraid of. And I'd tell him it's 3-on-1. How bad could it be? And then I'd point to the cameras and the people already videoing and ask him if he wants all these people to see him chicken out. I'd point out how he was so big and bad when he knew I wouldn't fight back. So him not wanting to fight would be no problem. Gabe gave a slight laugh. Don't think I don't see what you did there. She giggled. Oh, I don't doubt your intelligence at all. He sighed. What do you say, Gabe? I guess it would be okay. Still, I was hoping my father wouldn't find out about this thing. Well, it'll be after the fact. Gabe nodded. Unless, of course, you just tell him. Gabe nodded again. Either way, are we on? Yeah, we're on. She asked him a few more questions to clarify time and place, and he finally ended the call. He sat there dazed for a minute, not even believing he'd agreed to such a thing. He shook his head and glanced at the time. He had to get to Master Apple's class. As he got upstairs to the main level, his dad was coming downstairs. Hey, Dad. Hey, so I'm headed out to help John with his class tonight. Were you thinking of coming? Yeah, I was just getting ready to go. Great. Let's ride together. And that is the end of chapter 24.